Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's Principal Podcast, where we take just 10 minutes to talk about something great that a principal is doing in our CFC region here in Southwest Wisconsin. In today's conversation, we're going to dive into the process of developing a Title I plan and how it serves as a perfect model for our continuous improvement in schools. We're going to talk with Amy Schaeffer, who is a first-year principal at Cochran Fountain City Elementary School, who was tasked with building this Title I plan almost immediately after stepping into a role, like day one. But what's remarkable about this isn't just the plan itself, but the process that Amy and her team followed. From assessing data and focusing on a high-impact goal and strategically implementing instructional strategies, to looking at and reviewing progress and making adjustments. Amy's approach reflects the Plan, Do, Study, Act process, that cycle perfectly, wonderfully. And that's the same framework that drives school improvement efforts everywhere. The big piece about this that I was most impressed with is it's not just about compliance. It's required that because they're a Title I school that they have this plan, but it wasn't about compliance. It was about real meaningful change that supported the students in that school and empowered the teachers to be able to have that impact. So Amy's going to walk us through how she approached this challenge and what we can all learn from her journey.
All right. Thanks, Amy, so much for doing this today. I know you're so excited to do it.
Why not?
Why not? Amy Schaeffer is the principal at Cochran Fountain City Elementary School. It's her first year as principal. And one of the things that she and I have talked about, and she's done a really good job with, is her Title I plan. Amy, can you just talk a little bit about how it came to be in the beginning parts of this, and then how you communicated it to your staff after that?
So I was hired July 1st, my first year's principal, and this was one of the very first tasks we had to do. Probably the very beginning of August, Laura emailed and said, "Hey, by the way, CFC is now a Title I school. We need a plan, so let's meet." And so towards the beginning of August, Laura and I sat down with district reading specialist, Andrea Robinson, and we really, this was a learning experience for me developing this plan, talk through procedures that have been in place here, changes that were happening at CFC, and we worked to build our Title I plan and it was a learning experience for me, right? Just getting the history of CFC and then also thinking, this is my first big step on how to move the school forward. So,
Yeah.
CFC was in the middle of transitioning from MAPS to iReady. So just thinking of assessment tools that we use here, we talked about how Act 20 and Ames Web would be new information too. So it's we really wanted to start small with something that's already been implemented here, data that we can use and know is beneficial for students. So we really focused in on our phonemic awareness at the K2 level. We have been implementing Heggerty here. This is the third year that it's first year was kind of a pilot. Last year was the first year was in place. And this year we feel real good about that. So we decided to run with that data since it was a consistent piece in the middle of all those transitions and knowing, in our letters training for state requirements, how important phonemic awareness is. So that's what we really zeroed in on this year.
Yeah. And we talk about this a lot. We talk about one thing and zeroing in on that. And I think the beauty of your plan was, it doesn't sound simple when you describe it and all the things you had to go through, but you kept it simple and you set your goals at a place where, if you focused on one thing, it would have an impact for that. How did you communicate this with the staff?
So Andrea and I worked throughout August to kind of get the plan in place. And then at my very first staff meeting in August, back to school in service, we said, we will have this plan communicated out to you. And so we set that for our September date and then rolled it out then after we've had a chance to come back and give our beginning of the year assessments, use that data and then put that in the plan and make it work for us.
Yeah. And this is you were brand new July 1. I think. I think we met like July 8th or something really soon after that. I remember coming
Mhm.
up there. But one thing you stuck and you're sticking with it, and that impact, talk about like you talked a little bit about this and how it related to Act 20 and how you're pulling on those threads to all those levers to make it work, I think. But, in terms of like you're building, this can relate in my mind to like a school improvement plan or anything like that. You've got a plan, you're doing it, you're studying it, plan, do, study, act process. Um, is this connected to, your SLO or your staff's SLO, or how are those things brought together?
Um, we encourage the primary teachers that are using Haggerty and really live in this data to use this for their SLO. So um, there are other parts of our plan as far as implementation strategies, instructional strategies that are K6 that people have incorporated into their SLOs. But as far as phonemic awareness goes, our primary teachers are living this and using this data. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, we talk about that too. It's like district goals, school goals, principal, so your SLO is probably related to this.
It is.
It is. And then how it tears down from that with your staff. And that's how, and I can't get over your emphasis and how great it is on we talk about this all the time. One thing, what can you focus on? What instructional strategies? How do you improve in that classroom? And the plan that you and the district reading specialist came up with, I think allows your staff to do that and has allowed them to do that. You've seen good results from this, yes?
Right. So I just have to interject. When we were meeting with Laura, she really pushed us at that first meeting, and we were going to set a goal at 80%, right? Because that's kind of like your standard 80% of students should be blah, 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 blah. And she's like, so who's going to tell the 20% of parents that we don't expect their kids to make that goal? And Andrea and I really took pause to that and be like, you're right. Why are we not setting this goal high? We set the bar at 100%. We want 100% of our students proficient. And so I think really taking that on, making that lofty goal that is achievable was really a turning point on how we are owning this goal and really working towards 100%.
What was your staff's reaction to 100%?
You could see some big eyes, and we probably were sitting with Laura with big eyes too. But then, when you explain that rationale behind it, that all means all, and we truly are living that I think that just gives us even more drive to really make that goal and reach our hardest kids, the ones that need us the most, so they can achieve that goal as well.
What did you learn? What did you or the staff or everyone, what did we learn from this so far?
That continuous conversations around our data and our students is really important. So we are utilizing our PLC time to constantly self-reflect on instructional strategies around phonemic awareness. It's been great as far as we have some nonverbal students in these primary grades, and we're like, how can we assess them and how can we teach them phonemic awareness and know that they are learning it? So that's caused us to really look further at instructional strategies and kind of co-planning and co-teaching with special education staff as well. So I think just keeping it on the agenda to talk about is really important, and then using it school-wide, even though it seems like it's just a very primary targeted piece of information. I think that the other teachers can see how we're building on what their future needs are as far as literacy. And so they have kind of rallied around us too, and have really taken upon the other instructional strategies that do apply to them in PLC time and are using those as well.
Yeah, so it's really a school-wide, it can be a school-wide approach to this, the learning that the staff can do to make it better for the students.
Right. And even teaching teachers in grades 5 or 6 or 4 what phonemic awareness is and how it can still be applicable in those grades. We had some great staff development mid-year on that and how we can still incorporate it in those upper grades as well.
What's the is this going to continue next year, something along the same lines, or what's the thought?
We just briefly talked about that at our mid-year check-in, and we are on track to meet that goal. So I can see us using this goal in future years as well. But we do want to find a way to expand it to the upper grades as well and measure that student growth too. So I don't know if it will be specifically phonemic awareness. We might, we've talked about the aspects of Act 20, maybe incorporate a fluency goal too. So there's still a lot of conversation to be had on that, I think, for next year.
Yeah, for sure. I think I said this to you. You have the greatest Title I plan I've ever seen. I
don't know
never
about
had to
that,
do a
but-
title. I never had to do a Title I plan,
Oh.
so I had to learn all about it. And you, along with Laura and everyone, has taught me a lot about that too. But you guys have done a fantastic job on that, and just congratulations on what you guys have done. It's very cool. If anyone has any questions, can they reach out to you via email or something?
Certainly. Like I said, I'm in my rookie year and still learning each and every day, but I'm happy to share my experience and how we've made it work here at CFC, if that could benefit anyone else as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Amy, so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.